Hello and good morning. I suppose most of us have lost someone we love and found it very hard to cope, haven't we? Of course we have. We've asked the questions, why? Why them? Why now? Most of us rely on our families for support, but others turn to mediums. But can they really talk to the dead? Why did you go to see a medium, Kim?
Loads of different reasons. Mainly the loss of people I love, and also for advice. I went recently about moving from one part of the country to the other, and I knew deep down what I wanted to hear, but I just needed spirit to tell me, and they told me.
What did they tell you?
They told me lots of things. They said that the move would be beneficial for myself, my husband, my children, and we'd all be a lot happier there.
And was that correct? You believe that?
Yes.
Why did you go in the first place, the first time?
The first time I just went out of curiosity. The very first time, I think I was about 17 years old. That was years ago. But I'm here to say that one wasn't a good one. She told me that I'd have 2 little girls, and I ended up having 3 boys. But I'm here to say, you don't know until you go. There's lots of different mediums. There's good and there's bad. And obviously, I saw one on a seaside pier. It was just there for that.
And when did you go to hear about your child?
My child? I went to a place in Harlow, and this medium was recommended. She's got a 4-month waiting list, but I phoned up one day and I got an appointment, just like that. She asked me lots of questions, which I only answered yes and no, because if you're a good medium, you don't need to ask too many questions. But she was telling me what she was getting. She told me that I'd lost a son a long time ago, and he was standing over my shoulder. She said he'd be about 21, 22, which was correct.
It wasn't 21, 22 when you lost him, though, was it?
Oh, no, he was a baby.
He was how old?
Well, he was still born.
He was still born,
yeah.
So, but this was 21, 22 years later, and she's saying that this child that was still born is now 21, 22, and he's standing over your shoulder.
He's looking after me all the while. He's always with me.
And did you
apparently
believe?
He was saying, that's my mum, that's my mum.
Did you believe that?
Yes.
Why?
Because how would she know that I'd lost a child and he would be that age?
And what was he saying to you?
He wasn't giving me anything sort of, how can I put it? Well, he was just saying to her, let me mum know that I'm there. But there was other spirits there, but none came through like Michael did.
How did you know it was Michael?
Because of how she was describing them and his age.
But he was stillborn.
Yeah, I know. I'd never ever seen him before, but you have visions in your mind. You have visions what they're going to grow up like. I've never ever seen them. My oldest son, he's 18 years old. When we first moved into a place of our own, he was sitting in the bedroom one day, and I could hear him nattering, and he was talking to someone called Michael.
So this was your Michael. But
yeah.
You know that implies that when people die, they carry on growing.
Yes, they do.
Well, that must mean people must be around now 10,000 years old.
No, when you go, you might say die old, but when you go there, you ain't got no pains or nothing like that.
But if your Michael died stillborn and you spoke to him when he was 21, 22, that implies he's continued growing just like he would have done had he been alive.
Yeah.
Well, it's to say, that suggests then if somebody dies at 90, they carry on, so in 90 years' time they'll be 180.
I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know.
I think that you're listening to the mediums and they're telling you what you want to hear. I mean,
yeah, but how do they know what you want to hear?
Well, they're just hoping that they're along the right lines. I mean, they're very clever people.
Yeah, some of them.
And if they feel they've gone down the wrong line, they'll automatically change the subject. and find something that is straight away will react to you, and they know what you want to hear. I mean, as for a baby growing up to be a 21-year-old man, I myself had a stillborn child, and I hope to God that he's not growing up somewhere.
Have you ever been to find out?
No, I haven't, and I wouldn't. I don't believe that there is such a place.
Can I give him...
Georgie?
Oh, well, it's difficult because I went to see a medium after my father died. And I didn't specifically go to make contact with my father. I just went out of curiosity, really. I'd been recommended to her. And I can't... As I sit here now, I tell you the truth. I walked in, sat down, she said hello, she knew my name, that was all she knew. She didn't know what car I drove. I made sure I wasn't wearing any jewellery, anything to give the game away. I was a chef at the time, I wasn't wearing my whites. I just walked in and sat down. And she said, I've got your father here. Now, I was 24 at the time, so it's probably quite unlikely that I'm going to have a parent in spirit. And she said, he's been dying to talk to you, he's really, really sorry because he left 2 wills. And I thought, my goodness, he did. You know, we'd had a huge problem with probate because there were 2 wills, and we'd had sort of ages of sort of going through a bit of a nightmare with solicitors. And I thought, well, that's a really strange thing. No one's going to sit down and say to you, you know, your father's left 2 wills, he's really sorry. You know, it's not a normal thing to come out with. And then she said, and he really likes Colin. And Colin is my mum's new, or at the time was my mum's new partner. And I thought, my goodness, this is definitely, there's something here, you know. And sort of, you know, running true to form, I burst into tears. And then, really, everything else she said to me after that was just...
Do you like Colin?
I love Colin.
Did your mum like Colin?
She does, yeah.
Was your mum worried that she might have been betraying your dad?
She was very worried, I think, yes, because they'd had a very happy marriage.
Oh, so why do you think you wanted to hear he liked Colin?
Yeah, but where would she get Colin from? I didn't walk in and say, hi, my new stepfather-to-be is called Colin.
Yes, but if she, you know, like she said, when he went in and said, a message from your father, he said, no, my father's still alive, she probably would have changed it to grandfather.
Possibly, because I have been to other mediums who actually have done that. I went to one once and she said, you've come to see me about your child. And I said, well, I haven't got any children. So she went, oh, no, she said, I'm confused, sorry. You've come to see me about your brother. And I said, well, I haven't got a brother. So, you know, there are times... There is a specific incident that I don't really want to discuss, I can't discuss, but she was absolutely spot on.
What? We always want to know the things you can't discuss.
Oh, no, you can't know that.
The only thing we're interested in now is what she doesn't want to discuss and what she can't discuss. Of course, well, the whole world's now intrigued with this.
Well, I know, but you'll have to wait.
Well, you must have thrown these little tidbits our way.
What I can tell you, though, Robert, is that she told me something that even I didn't know about my family.
Oh.
And about 3 years later...
Really? Was it scandalous?
It was true. It was scandal. Absolutely.
Really scandal?
Oh, it's dreadful. I couldn't possibly divulge.
Were you shocked?
Well,
So you went up to your mum and said, I didn't know that?
No. At the time when she told me, I thought, oh, she's got that wrong.
No, this woman obviously had an inside track into your family then.
The thing was... No, nonsense.
Well, she must have done if she could know Colin, know about a hidden scandal you didn't know. She was probably somebody's girlfriend.
I mean, you make an appointment to see these people, don't you?
And they try and find out.
They know who you are.
Don't you take my microphone, young woman.
I'm so drawn to it. It was just instinctive. Don't brandish that at me. No.
Don't go too far.
Just to say, I am a medium, and when people come to see me, or I see them working, when I'm working in a church or in a centre, I don't know them, and I come to them with evidence, and I don't want them to say anything unless, yes, that I'm right. I don't want them to tell me anything, and I don't know them from Adam. But can I just mention this thing about children growing up in spirit, which is a beautiful thing? I'm the youngest of 7 children. The oldest child died when she was 6, and it was so distressing for my parents. All we knew was her name. We didn't know exactly why she died and where she was buried. My brother is equally spiritual as I am. He's got that gift, but he's not developed it. And he went in his mid-40s with his wife to a graveyard he'd never been to before. And he was the only one of us who would have known our sister. And as he was leaving the graveyard in a very Bergman-esque way, he was leaving it, and he tripped and fell against a gravestone, and as he clung to it, there is our sister's name.
What coincidence, isn't it?
No such thing as a coincidence.
Madam.
Coincidence. He might have been Bergman-esque. I like that touch.
Oh, thank you.
But it's still coincidence.
Yes, but people also will tell you what the name of the child is, for example. People
Yes,
I don't know.
I was told.
They tell me the name of the child.
It was not like a seance, but this woman said, is that somebody here had lost a child only a few months.
6 people stood up.
6 people put their hands up.
You were there with me?
No, we were just talking.
I see.
Obviously, I put my hand up.
You must start interrogating them before the programme starts. So you
I'm training to be Anne Robinson when she steps down.
And I put my hand up, obviously, like all the others. And then she said again, well, it's only a few months. So the other 4 put their hands down, and it was me and this other lady. And I thought she was talking to the lady next door, next to me. And she said, well, it's a girl. It's a long hair, big black eye girl.
So she sat down and you were still standing?
And I was still standing. And I said, yes.
Well, she'd done it by a process of elimination.
No,
right.
she couldn't.
Yes.
She couldn't because she actually said, Julie is here. And that's my daughter's name. And she had only died 2 months before.
No, I don't believe it.
And she said to me, she had very bad arm and bad leg. And she was on Kilroy's program when she was 5.
She was on the program?
Yes, yes, she was. And after we've seen you, we had your program, she had a stroke. And how could this woman know that my daughter had this, could not walk properly and this pain in her arm and her leg? She couldn't have known. She didn't know me from Adams, this woman. That was one. And then the other thing she said, and she died very suddenly. She's really, really sorry. She's telling me to tell you that she heard you telling her, Julie, it's all right, sweetheart, you can go. You can die now.
Excuse me, but you just said that you were on Kilroy's programme and she didn't know you.
But she didn't have a stroke when we came on Kilroy.
No, she would have known that she had a bad arm and leg, wouldn't she?
No, she wouldn't have known because she...
know it's her daughter.
Well, they were on the television programme together.
You guys don't even think we should charge for mediumship. Where are we going to get the money for all the phone calls?
What about working like most of us do?
It's working. It's working. We put in 6, 7 days.
No, nobody's arguing about whether you work or not. No,
Where are we going to get the money for the phone bills to try things out?
We want to know whether it works or
No,
not.
I'm sorry. If people can speak when they're dead, wouldn't they speak to the person they love and the person that loves them? They would not want them to pay money out
Going through a
to
stranger.
people like
They
you.
do.
To go
I have my grandfather.
I didn't pay any
No,
money.
I know, but
didn't
other
pay any
people
money.
do. Other people do.
I have
And
my
if-
grandfather communicating to me through my dreams.
No, they would
just so
come
happens
through-
that I developed my gift.
No, they would come through to the people they love, not a stranger who wants money.
So you do believe there is life after death?
No,
then?
I don't. I believe you're dead. I said if they could, they would come back to the person they loved, not through somebody.
Well, I think all the psychic people here
which is a good point. Why would somebody who wants to speak to her, who I don't know anything about her, but let's imagine she lost a grandfather. Pretty good guess, because most of us do, don't we? Sometimes lose a grandfather. Perhaps she lost a grandfather. She really loved him, really close to him, all the rest of it, and they had a special bond and relation. I don't know anything about this. It's just made up, but let's assume that for the want of anything else. Why would he want to choose you, Gloria, to speak to her rather than speak directly to her? Why? Why go through a stranger? I'd be really upset if my grandfather went through you to talk to me.
But the thing is, quite often, other people can't hear. This is the problem. They do try to talk to you. They'll try to get your attention. Whether it's certain... That's right. Whether it's through different means, they will. But sometimes not everybody can. Or people tend to... It's human nature to disbelieve until it's been put in front of us.
So they're talking through you because she and I aren't listening or can't hear.
Because you can't hear, or maybe you're ignoring the signs.
So
people don't want to. They do.
Tell me how you do it. Tell me what you do, Gloria.
Well, there's different ways. I mean, obviously, I personally work in 3 different ways. All mediums are different. We probably find that what one medium will work in, one will see, hear, or feel, or sense. I can hear voices. I can see people. I see spirit. I can hear. I can sense them around. When I say hear, it's not... the common thing is you think people can they're talking in your ear all the time. It's not. It's in here. And to see things, it's like having a little television screen inside your head that you can actually look into, and you can see all these things. It's like they can take you to different places and show you things about people, or whether it's your home or the family. That's how we see them usually.
And that's happening to you all the time?
Well, not all the time.
No, I'm
not. Quite often. I mean, I have my guides with me who talk to me, who I can hear.
What are your guides' names?
My guides? Do you want them all?
How many you got?
I've got 9.
Oh, no,
at the moment.
don't
But,
give me them all.
I mean, there's a few. One, okay.
And they'll guide you. And what do you have to...
They come to work with you. They work with me to sort of help me to progress, and I teach others to learn to use the ability that we've all got.
But you do it, but you have to tune in, as it were. You have to you have to sit there, relax in a certain situation.
It's like, I mean, it's there. I mean, I can actually walk around the house and do it and think, oh, hi, are you there? And have conversations with my guides and or anyone I choose to, my father, my family that are over there, if I want to. I don't constantly.
I can't get you, my love.
Yeah, but the difference is, I mean, I went through that stage where, I mean, yes, for a long time, and it's quite often with mediums that you tend to think like story about voices in your head, but it's you know, it's learn. You have to learn how to recognise that it's not your thoughts; it is a voice.
Don't you think the whole concept of all these mediums is just an entertainment industry?
No.
Well, it might be entertaining, but is it true?
Because, it's obviously not true, because when you die, you turn into a pile of worms, don't you? You know, you're lying in your coffin.
That's the most horrendous thought, I think. It's really, really
kind of what happens. That's the reality. When people... are you alive before you're born? No, I don't remember being alive before I was born.
Well, you won't
Why should I be alive when I'm dead? I'm not. You know, so that's kind of obvious, really, that there's no life before life, so there's no life after life.
But how do you know there's no life before life?
Because I don't remember it.
How do you know we don't come back? I mean, so many of us believe in reincarnation, that we come back and it's we're here in a learning process.
I do.
And that we move on.
You would ask
there.
who, wouldn't you?
I think it's kind of sad.
No, first I'd like to go back to what this lady said a minute ago regarding spirits coming back to people that they love. My 8-year-old son, he lost his granddad 3 years ago and he was distraught. Now my dad came back and spoke to him and my son was terrified. So I'm sorry, that's why quite often spirit doesn't come through to the people that they love, because they couldn't handle it.
What do you do? How do you do it?
How do I do it?
Yeah.
Personally, like Lady was saying, relax. It's kind of like a lifting. I feel myself lift. But other times I can be in a supermarket and I can pick things up.
But you do it with jewellery, don't you?
Yeah.
We've given you some jewellery.
Yeah.
What do you do with the jewellery? We've given you jewellery of somebody here. Do you know who that jewellery belongs to?
No.
You don't know? OK, somebody in the audience. And you've had it for some time because you need to have it for some time and you've been in a quiet room. What can you tell us about the person?
Well, I do feel female, if I'm honest. You got my paper for me?
You've been making some notes, haven't you?
Yeah, I only had 10 minutes, which was a little unfair.
You had more than 10 minutes.
No, it was 10 minutes.
You
like
had
this.
10 minutes. No, you had more than 10 minutes. You had 20 at least, I counted.
I didn't. I was copying it out.
Go on.
Right, when I got up from... Firstly, with this lady, I was getting a plane taking off. I felt very much that... if she didn't do a lot of travel, that something was really taking off at the moment. I've got a lot of high-rise buildings around this lady.
They've probably come from London, like everybody else.
They specifically showed me Big Ben, the Empire State Building.
Okay.
I have no idea why.
Yeah.
I was drawn to America. They were telling me around this lady. They showed me very, very well manicured fingernails.
Right.
Very well manicured fingernails. Lady who...
We're all looking around for the fingernails.
Come on, where are you?
Go on, what else?
I did feel this lady was a suit. There was authority with this girl. They were telling me about a baby girl. So I've got to be honest, I started off getting that a baby girl was around.
Right, she's having a baby girl.
Not necessarily her, but somebody close.
Close is having a
but I
baby,
was also picking up a baby in spirit who...
What's the matter with you? Shush. You don't know what's going to happen next. Could be you. Go on.
Talk to me, I'm dead.
Go on.
We can see. Yeah, very much this a baby girl who, at the age of crawling, I feel would have passed, or if not, if she had have survived.
Move on quick. Next,
right, okay.
rattle through the most important
there's two
moments.
children around this woman.
Yeah.
She's very, very independent.
Yeah.
But I know it's been raining, but she was telling me about a drain or a tap. Firstly, drawing to the tap and drainage system in the kitchen.
Right. Who do you think it is?
I have no idea.
We've got the vibes.
No
Who's this woman with the manicured fingernails?
Can't she get the spirit to...
Who's this?
Hello, Andy.
And look at his fingernails.
It's a man.
This is the woman.
I just want to say to you, right, I have been listening to all of what he said, right?
Look at his fingernails.
And fingernails, no fingernails I have. I'm a boy. I am gay, by the way, but I'm not a woman, yeah? Getting back to this sort of thing we're saying, right? Now, My mum
She did get the feminine side then.
Yeah, but what she's saying, Ron, was a load...
Careful what you say. Careful what you say. Choose your words carefully.
Crap, yeah?
Oh, I don't think you're allowed to say that. I think that's on the... I think that's on the list, but however...
Is it related to your partner, though?
Sorry?
Is it related to your partner?
Not at all, no. There's no kids involved. I've actually lost three loved ones, very, very close to me. My mum is into all the psychic stuff, yeah? She got to a stage in the end that they filled their heads with so much crap.
No, you can't keep repeating this. Really, you'll get me into trouble.
She ended
up... the Broadcasting Standards Council after me.
I've heard all these people here so far, Robert, right? And I've been on TV before the series started, yeah, with 2 other mediums, and what they told me basically was...
We're here today.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're coming to that. All right, let's do that then.
But
so you don't...
I don't agree with what she said. She said everything...
Manicured fingernails.
If you just completely...
You're not going to have a baby. You're not going to have a baby girl, are you?
No, it's not a baby girl.
No, I'm not saying it's a person. It would be someone close to you.
Somebody close to you, yeah.
Could be
Okay.
anybody.
No, that could be anybody.
Don't get me going.
How do you do it?
How can he be killed? He's a male. How can he be killed?
Hang on. I can't get you from there. How do you do it then?
Well, can I just answer
Spirits,
the first question first?
jewellery.
I do it all on the phone or a one-to-one. I do it very, very easily. It's just something that happens. But can I come back to what they were talking about earlier about
No,
the
you can't
spirits?
go. No,
right.
I tell you, because if you go back, you're cutting everybody else out of the programme that I've got to get on to.
Okay, then.
Because all we do is keep on to the first subject.
When
so we need to move. We need to constantly be moving.
Go on then. When I do it, I do it over the phone mainly, and it's all word of mouth. The people that ring me, I get people ringing me from all over the country that I've never, ever, ever had the chance to meet or see, and I have yet to have anybody, and my friend would tell you, that has ever said that was wrong.
How did you get it? Wait,
I've got a number. I mean, must get the number from somebody.
The lady I asked, I said, where did you get my number? She was ringing from Essex. I said, well, where did you get my number from? She said, oh, Mary, that was the funny thing. It's just my husband's ex-wife told me. And it's the second best thing she gave me. And then she said,
do you want a number then?
Well, we wouldn't mind a good one's number.
Well, she can do down the phone. Well, why don't you try Mary down the phone? And then you can tell us.
I've rung that woman off Bella, I can't remember what her name is. Mystic
Bella
Rita.
Magazine,
Yeah.
Mystic Meg?
No.
Oh, is there another Mystic?
She's called Rita.
Yeah.
And,
did that not work?
No, she wrote back to me saying she couldn't help me.
Oh, well, you must have been a real problem.
Do it for the money, and if you go to someone that's going to charge you a lot of money, then they're doing it for a lot of money. Psychics will always have to charge at times. You have to, because you have to survive.
We know about
you have to drive the car. You have to be there. Well, I can't speak for everybody. My family goes insane because my phones never stop. And I can be on the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning with people I've never met.
So I ring you, what do you do?
Well, I just say, hold on a second, and then whatever comes through for you will come through, and then you'll get the opportunity to ask
just
questions.
like that. So seriously, if I was to get a mobile phone now, and I'd give Andy the microphone, let him carry on to the show for me, and I rang you from up there.
Yeah. Not while I'm sitting here, you wouldn't get much.
Why?
Well, all right, then you can try it if you like.
No, but why can't you do it from here?
Why? Because we're talking about a very, very emotive subject,
Right.
and you won't even get 2 psychics that either work or think alike. And
but you have to be in a room and quiet.
No, I don't need. I can be in a pub. I can be anywhere. I've worked all over. Just when I'm standing, I can't
But you
even
can
get
actually
to
pick
relax.
up the phone and I can say, hi,
Yes.
can you do...
Well, do that, Robert.
What would I do?
You just do that when I get home.
What do I do?
Nothing,
I say,
you just talk to me.
you
Don't tell me who you are.
And you can just switch on and do
Yes.
things. Really?
Really.
Well, and what do you feel when it's happening? Do you
Nothing.
know? Do you feel anything? Any physical thing?
I've got to be honest. I don't feel anything at all.
So you're not sure whether the spirit is with you or not.
Spirit.
But how do you know it's there with you?
Because my nose runs. And I know that sounds silly.
Oh, not another one. We've just had another nose run from her.
And it's just... It just boils down to this. If you love people enough to want to give up your time and give up yourself, everybody thinks that a medium is going to be this weird person. And a good medium is there because she loves people. And if anybody... Yes. It's only helpful if you say, right, now we've had a conversation, or now you've rang me, you can ring me anytime, day or night, and that person can do that for a while till they start to feel better. I don't agree with the people who ring you up and say, which often happens, I've had a look at a house, Mary, which one do I take?
Yeah,
and
with
it's
death,
ludicrous.
everybody has to deal with death.
Everybody has to, you're
And I mean,
looking at the prime one,
everybody-
we've all got to deal with death.
And we have to grieve, and there's
Yeah.
support groups of people that...
Yes.
You know, why do we need mediums?
You
I mean,
don't need a medium. This
have
is
to
the
move
whole
on.
thing. The people who choose to want to try to speak to someone that's passed over
It's exploiting
can
people.
go. It isn't exploiting people. I see a lot of people that come back time after time. And it
People
does
go to
work.
churches regularly, they don't get charged.
Me and my friend, we've been to absolutely loads. We've lost loads of people. We've plenty of dead people between us two. Honestly,
What are you, accident prone?
we're just unlucky. But we're absolutely desperate. We are. That's where we go, and we throw money at them. I mean, we read in the local paper psychic fair at Haworth, so we jumped in the car, us two, dashed up there. There were only us two there when we got there. We got there thinking, oh, we better get there, get a seat. And there were 3 people sat there. So we said, how much does it cost? 25 quid. So we flew back down to the bank. Couldn't get his money out quick enough. Flew back up. And to be honest with you, they told us a load of rubbish.
So why do
So
you go
perfect. Because I do believe that there is people there that can do it. It's just finding the right one.
OK, finding the right one. Lovely cue, because you've had experience of whether or not the right one. We've got somebody here who says they're very sceptical, and they say they can actually, anybody can pretend to be a medium, and you can be so good at it because the formula is so easy, you could con every member of the public. All right? So we've had them. Andy's been to 2 people here. One's a medium, claims to be a medium. The other one is a fake. Let's show you first. Let's have the first one now. What happened?
I've got a gentleman, I suppose tall in his day, because, I mean, the height's got bigger. I'd say now medium height, and there's army links, definitely army links. He's showing me 2 or 3 medals, and he's very, very proud of them. And he's showing me France.
I'm from a Gypsy Romany family.
Right.
Honestly, it's no, straight up. I'm from a travelling family.
Right, no,
Welsh Romanese.
You shouldn't be...
Nobody telling me
that
army and all that.
information.
There's none of them in the
I can
army.
only give you what I'm getting.
I don't recognise none of them.
That is what I'm getting. It's not a grandfather link, definitely not. I mean, he's obviously old because he's taking me back to the First World War. So you're going back to the 20s. I'm not going to take back what I've said to you because...
I don't
you know, now you've told me, I can say, oh, yeah, I've got it totally and utterly wrong. You can't change somebody from the army to somebody who's got a caravan.
No, I'm not saying that.
And, you know, that's what... But
what I'm trying to say to you is it done.
Yeah, don't tell me to. You're telling me too much.
All right.
You've got health problems and you're worried about them and you won't go and see anybody. You need to go and see. It's not like what you've got, and I'm not at all telling you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to diagnose. What I'm saying is what you've got is nothing to worry about. Could be something very simple that with treatment, which you might not have to take that long, you will get better. You've definitely got a health problem around you.
Right. That was Jane, who is actually sitting alongside Andy. Now, let's see Andrew, who is sitting in the front, and we'll see that tape and then you can decide which one you think is the genuine and which is the fake.
And I'm coming on an immediate link with this gentleman, OK, because he's showing me his frame. And I feel what I want to say wasn't as big as me, but, you know, he was still quite... When we see, if I was to look at you, you're not a big chap, OK, but you're very strong, all right? Certainly this gentleman was very strong, OK. But would you... I don't know why he's actually bringing this in. He's going into a mining field. Would you understand mining links around you? Would you understand why he would actually be showing me a coal mine? Would you understand that as a memory link? OK, I ain't saying that that's what he worked at, but he's talking about mining areas, OK? And I'm actually going, I know you've got an accent, and I know in a sense I'm a Cockney, you're not a Cockney, all right? But I am certainly going to know, but I'm going on the borders of not into Wales, but in between, if you know what I mean.
OK, Mary, which one's the fake?
Him.
Andrew. All right, Andrew's the fake.
Well, I would...
No, I don't want to know. I'm just asking you what I'm asking you. I'm going to ask Andrew in a minute. And there's 2 Andrews. Which one do you think?
I think she's the fake.
You think that Jane's the fake? Could I have your hands up? Let's have a view of everybody. Hands up, those of you who think that Andrew is the fake. It tends to be the mediums that say that, many of you. All right, hands up those who think Jane's the fake. Which one do you think is the fake? Because you actually spent a lot longer time, didn't you? The audience turned to think that Jane's a fake. You felt...
I thought the gentleman was more the fake than the lady. She said she said things that was actually true.
Right, what did she say that was true?
Well, the health reasons was one of them.
Which is that you got?
Well, I'm actually HIV positive.
Right.
And I've just got to say this.
Hang on.
But everything else...
What else did she say that was true?
It was just basically my health, to look after my health, which the doctors are keeping an eye on me because I have been out of order a little bit, right. Partying too much. And so, but I mean, as for names, she had the names wrong. Like I did actually, I lost my father, my brother, all in 1 month.
But you felt that she was nearer to the truth?
Yeah, than the gentleman, yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? Several of you felt that she was the fake, but he says, in fact, and we did it a lot longer than we've shown there, obviously. He actually felt that she was nearer to the truth.
Than the gentleman, yeah. No offence taken.
She's the fake. And she wanted to prove that she could con a member of the public, she could get the patter so good, so well, that anybody would believe it. And that's what she said. That's what she wanted to do. That was the point of the exercise. She obviously convinced many of you, including Mary, Telephone Mary, and the most important of all, because he was exposed to her for the longest period of time, she convinced Andy.
Right, the first thing is, I actually thought you was HIV by looking at you, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, and I've got a witness. I told somebody in this audience, I didn't want to say it on camera. What mediums do, they're very perceptive. You first of all look at someone. I've had a message from a medium, try and lose weight, dear. I mean, if that's from beyond the grave, my name's King Arthur. My relatives would not be that trivial. They'd say, we love you, darling, and tell me something positive. Setting that aside, there was so much. First of all, you were Welsh, so I couldn't pick up on the Welsh because as soon as you opened your gob, I knew.
Yeah, that's easy, isn't it?
But mediums are just very clever people.
Yeah.
Miscarriages are very common. Oh, there's a child in spirit.
What do you think of Anne Robinson?
Oh, don't go there, do you know what I mean?
It's very like... mediums... I'm not saying all of them because I cannot speak for all of them. I think most mediums are very, very astute and clever people. I actually thought I'd convince a few more in the audience. Sadly, I never, but I convinced him.
Why did you convince him?
He was more nervous than me.
I noticed it. I must say, Andrew, again, because to corroborate, we had you here in the studio before the beginning of the show, and it's up on monitors in my office, in a big open plan office above the studio, and all my staff who are working on this programme and indeed are working on other programmes were standing around the monitors watching, and they didn't know. And as I left to come down to the studio, they said to me, which one's the fake? Is it him? And they all thought you were the fake.
It's very easy to do.
Why would that be? Why would that be? Well, which is proving that anybody can do it, I suppose.
No, I mean, when I was actually talking and doing the sitting with the gentleman, my objective was to prove the survival of a loved one, OK? And I said to him, clearly say yes or no if you understand. And when I was describing the lady, which you didn't show on the film, he agreed and he said, yeah, I could understand that. And I told him that he had children in spirit as well, which he accepted that. Okay, yeah, so this is what I define.
No, I've already said you spent a lot of time, both of you spent the same amount of time, a longer time than we shown, but he was the only one who's been in both places, and he said in the end he felt more confident that Jane was the genuine article. If either a genuine article.
Look, this is a scenario. This is a scenario.
That's why his objective is to what is genuine and what is not.
Right. This is... Hang on,
Angela, hang on, Joel.
This is a scenario, right? I'll phone up to buy a car out of the local paper, and I'll say to the chap or woman, I'm really interested in that car, can I come and look at it? And they say to me, I live in the blue house by the traffic lights. I'd say, you're being a bit vague, can't you give me your address? Why, when these dead people are talking to you, if they can talk as freely as they can now, why aren't they saying, I'm Jane, I want John, he's sitting in the front row.
They do, though.
You never get people who've
seen them do it.
You never get people who've fallen out of trees or plane crashes. It's always, oh, I'm getting a breathless link here. No, you don't.
When you feel the pain that someone suffered from a suicide or some other discomfort, it is uncomfortable.
But I mean, at the same time, cancer, deaths, heart disease and tragic accidents, which covers everything from suicides to... You never get anybody interested in the parachute.
The last medium I went to see about me move, she said to me, she said, you saw that house go up, and I actually was there watching that house being built with my other partner who is now dead, but I saw that house go up She described it down to the T, even to the colour of that wallpaper and that
This is what I'm saying.
hallway.
I'm saying a lot of mediums are just very clever. I'm not saying all mediums. I can't possibly say that.
But
maybe you've struck luck there. But a very high percentage of mediums, they may kid themselves they've got a gift. They're no more gifted than I am.
But you're the one that got everybody's confidence, which only goes to prove that people who have learned to lie and cheat and be deceitful are going to deceive the vast majority of people. A medium won't deceive people because you'll either come away and say that was rubbish or that was bloody good.
Oh, that is another word you're not allowed to... Look, you know, I don't want to make heavy weather of this. It's just that that's what the rules say, not what I say. I don't make up these rules. So, in that case, if you can be told about your house, do you use the advice that they give you to kind of plan, do things, decide things? Do you take their advice?
I think at the end of the day, you have got to make the choice for yourself. I think someone can advise you. But I've had someone help me for over 25 years. Originally, I got introduced to them through a friend, and they will tell me things about myself without me even asking. I've got a problem, and they'll actually start telling me when I'm sitting down just talking, having a cup of tea. I haven't even asked them a question, and I've got the problem there. And this has happened many, many occasions on health problems, career problems and personal problems with other people. It's absolutely incredibly accurate. In terms of the advice, as far as I'm concerned, I've taken about 50% of the advice, and the other 50% I've said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do completely the opposite.
Ones to take?
I make my own choice.
All right,
I listen to it and I evaluate it. I've also evaluated my own view of the situation as well.
Choice. Why are you listening to him in the first place?
Because I only use it as an advisory thing. It doesn't control my life, that's the whole point. I will listen to advice from any direction.
You didn't really answer Robert's question. How do you know which one is right?
How do I know which...
50% you said, so how do you know which one? He might be the one that says, go and put £1,000 on Fred in the Grand National, right? Now, that's a big thing to do.
Yes, of course,
or that's... And you don't take that?
No.
Why
But you might have, it said, and put £5 on George at Cheltenham. And you put the £5 because it's easy, less risk. But in fact, if you'd have put the £1,000 on Fred, he would have won.
Well, it's a situation I wouldn't get involved in. You'd usually to do... Because I don't bet money.
Oh, I'm just using it as a...
I know that. I know.
Don't be difficult with me, man. So where do you know? It might be giving you really... like a father. Might give you a really difficult piece of advice, but it's really hard to do. But actually, if you did it, is the right thing for you. Whereas you might take the easy option.
Yeah, so what you're trying to say, the advice you would take is don't chew that gum because that gum might get stuck in your throat. But you wouldn't take advice of I would put £1,000 on that horse. You wouldn't take that. You would only take advice that
what I do is just evaluate the whole thing, make my own choice based on my own understanding of the situation. But I would not...
Why would you need a medium?
I don't
Why would you need a medium if you're evaluating?
Tell me, why are you shouting? There's no need to shout.
Hang on, Rick.
I'm actually next to you. Don't shout,
because
please.
I'm totally sceptic about what happens.
He's excited, Darryl. He's not shouting. He's just getting excited.
Okay.
Come on.
All I'm saying is, I go there, it's a friend of mine, we sit there and discuss things. Things will come up in the discussion, and he will talk about problems that I've got. And he gives me his own view on it, and I make my own choice, and that's it. And I think it's good also to go against things sometimes, to show the fact that you're not led by things like that. They're only there to help you, they're only there to advise you, but they do not rule your life. And also...
Can I just say that, I mean, a lot of mediums are there, as you say, we are there to, and Spirit come in to help, to work alongside us, to guide us.
That's all.
Not to say you're going to go and... Not to say that you're to go out and slap £1,000 and win a horse. No good medium should say that.
Exactly.
And really, you're there to help.
No, it was a frivolous... I couldn't think of another example off the top.
It does, and that's what determines the good from the bad, if you like, because there are con artists out there,
I personally think that it's very cruel. I think it's very...
Do you take advice?
Absolutely not.
I personally think it's very cruel because it always starts off with someone being bereaved in a family.
No bereavement.
It always seems to start off with... All right, in your case,
no.
It tends to start... Can I finish? It tends to start from somebody being bereaved, and that person just wants to hear what he wants to hear all the time. Because he's vulnerable. He's become to a state where he's vulnerable, and he feels lonely, or she feels lonely, that someone's died, and all it is they want to hear what they want to hear.
Yes.
Shirley, do you take advice?
I did a long time ago. Joseph Benjamin, some people might remember him. I went to one of his meetings, and I decided to have a private sitting. And the Sunday previously, I had a strange feeling that my father was come into the bedroom. This was early in the morning, and I thought, don't be so daft, you know, and I dismissed it. Anyway, during the week, when my appointment to see Joe came along, I walked into the room to have my sitting with him, and he said to me, "Oh, your dad's just walked into the room with you. He was with you on Sunday morning." And I just looked at him. I couldn't believe what I just heard. And I sat down, and I don't remember the rest of the sitting. I was so shocked that somebody could tell me that when I hadn't told it to anybody.
But you wouldn't look to them to give you advice on what to do? Or you wouldn't kind of factor it into how you make decisions?
I think they can help you, maybe, but I think the final decision rests with you.
Yes, that's right.
It's an advisory thing as
Yeah.
well. I mean, it's basically nobody, and nobody should live their lives by any medium, psychic, or anyone. At the end of the day, you're there to help people. So many people come for different reasons.
Anybody can give that information. I can go along and say to someone, don't go along that way, don't talk to him.
Isn't it really about people's
just
choice
general
as well?
information. What he's got to do.
What's
the difference between a medium and me?
Dan, what's the difference?
The difference
What is
is...
the difference?
Dan,
Exactly.
hang on, Dan. Come on, Dan. Let Dan tell you. Dan.
Talk to spirit.
Dan. Please, hang on, my friend. Dan.
I'm a qualified medium. I've got a column for the Welsh Mirror.
Do you like Anne
I get
Robinson?
thousands of letters to me, written to me.
We've got a thing about this, haven't we?
I also get telephone readings from all over the world. I call myself a channel, and I can actually talk to people on the other side. I'm not the type of person to go around to you and say you've got to believe in it. You are your own person. You believe in what you want to believe. And I don't believe in preaching it either. Because I've got to be honest, I've heard of people, I've written it in my column, that they're calling themselves psychics and mediums, excuse me, and they're calling themselves qualified, and yet they're going around taking money and giving half. They've got a little bit of psychic ability, just a small bit, and then they're using that little bit of psychic ability and developing it themselves,
Is
which
she
is
talking
wrong.
about you, Angela?
Which is truly wrong.
Is she talking about you? You take money, you charge.
I have to, yeah, unfortunately.
But she's talking about people who
Not
charge.
always. I don't always charge. If I was to see someone down the street and they looked in a state and I needed to help them, or they come to me for help, they would get that help no matter what. Because it has to be with love.
But it is a business.
Pardon?
But what you do normally is a business.
It is,
it's a job, or whatever you like to call it, profession, whatever you want to call it, yeah.
But you see,
you think that what
I developed my skill. It's taken me many years. I've had it since I was about 8 years of age. I had a convulsion through it. I've developed it simply because I've gone to spiritualist churches. I've also worked on a rostrum. I've seen people work. I've gone and sat in front of a person, and she's said to me, "Oh, you're going to have twins." Twins? I've had a hysterectomy. How can I have twins? And she's playing with the tarot cards and little crystal balls. You don't need those tools. I do it on the telephone, and you link with people's voice.
How can you do it on the telephone? What, like
I do it on radio.
How can you do it? How can you do it on the telephone?
I can hear a voice inside my head. And I've got to be honest, I am different.
Why do you have to have a
I'm the first to say
telephone?
that.
Because if you'd have existed before telephone,
I've done it on
you
television,
couldn't do it then,
back to
could
back
you?
with the person.
You couldn't do it before telephone existed then.
That's
Why do you need a telephone? Why couldn't you just do it?
Because that person is in Dallas or in Australia.
Oh, you don't, hang on, please.
You don't need it.
Oh, yeah, you tell them.
Cool it.
Shush, cool it, man.
I wasn't shouting, man.
No, are these two carrying on the arguments here? Yeah. Oh, you're a lot of snitches, aren't you? Eh? You see, the whole row snitched on you two. All I heard was these women at the back saying, shush, shush. You should have just come along and sorted them out.
Sorry,
Bang their heads together.
Sorry, Rob. I just asked him for evidence. I said I would never believe till I actually see some evidence. And he said, well, you're not open-minded. And I said, well,
No,
we did. Robert just made an exercise with that gentleman over there.
Yeah, but
with
that's not everybody. That's not everybody.
Yeah.
That's not everybody. I've never been charged a penny. All the information has been accurate, and everything has been supportive to help me. If that's a bad thing, well, I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go on, you've been trying for a long time. You better have something really interesting to say.
Yeah, there's just a couple of things that I want to clear up. I'm not a medium, but I'm a fledgling. I'm coming into this way of life.
Do you what?
I'm a fledgling. I'm practising, if you see what I mean.
Do you like my fledgling?
I'm Andrew's fledgling. Right. Anyway, I can assure you that Andrew's not a fake, OK? He's given me plenty of proof of survival, and there's... Andrew doesn't know me from Adam.
The exercise was designed if anybody can do it, and I think I've proved it. Also, this lady here keeps going on and defending yourself. I've done better with him in 10 minutes. Well, what you read out, basically, was a load of tosh. I picked up straight away he was gay and HIV, but I wasn't going to say that on national television.
Yeah, but she didn't see him. She didn't see him.
Yeah, but psychometry, she should have picked that up, Robert.
Hang on, Mary. Let Claire respond. Let Claire respond.
Psychometry is picking up a vibration. Now, but I got a woman, I got various details. It could be something. Now, you can say, oh, it could be anyone close to him. But he's obviously, you can tell, he is not a woman. Now, for all I know, all that could have been about his sister. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
Yeah, but that's a cop-out.
Well, it does. It's not about him,
if every single thing, no. But the idea of psychometry...
why did you say it's not about you, then? It could be someone close.
No,
you
because
didn't say that.
What I'm right in saying, other clairvoyants or other people who do psychometry, you can hold a jury. Now, I'm sorry, it's not just about that person. The idea of it is to tell you things about your family, things that other people wouldn't know. It's not just stuff about the person that's holding it.
You're saying that afterwards, when you've told him, basically, that he's a woman, he's got wonderful hands and all this.
Oh, Claire, hang on. Claire, sorry. Listen, because you're criticising me now, saying you didn't get a chance. And I will defend Mike. You did get a chance, because I sat there and I just let you go.
Yeah, but she tried to talk in there. I've been sitting there trying to talk.
No, but you told us he was a woman. You kept woman all the time.
Yeah, it's the woman that I'm getting. OK, so he's a man.
Have you always... Who owned this?
It's mine, yeah.
It is yours.
It's his.
Right, so...
But there's no reason why all that stuff couldn't
apply. No, but it could also apply to Santa Claus, Claire.
Can I just...
Couldn't it? Can you predict with these? I'm asking there, my friend. Don't you two start again, by the way, while I've got my back to it. Don't you two start. You put your pills away.
I definitely believe that you can predict if you have the gift. I've been to Diane for a reading, and she predicted that I would open a shop. I run my own business. She described the shop to me and the items in the shop before the shop had opened. At the time, I was in full-time employment in a regular job for a big company. I had no intentions of going into business. I now have a gift shop. I didn't,
Probably
however...
you were guided by what she said.
No, not at all.
Honestly.
Not at all, because it was my partner who actually talked me into
Well,
starting
you probably
my own
told him at
business.
supper time what she said, and because you're both into it,
We're talking months.
No, I'm not into it at all.
We're talking
I used to be a
months and
complete
months.
sceptic. Used to be a complete sceptic. I went for one reading. I didn't tell Heidi I was going.
To Diane.
I didn't tell Heidi I was going.
To prove me wrong.
I sat there with my jaw on the floor for an hour.
Honestly,
Right, I am
there's a
quite a
medium
level-headed
here,
guy,
I would
right?
absolutely love to... I'm sitting here, I'm quite open-minded. I
What do
think
you
it's
mean?
a lot of nonsense. If there's a sceptic here,
What do you mean
I
you
would
say-
love one of you girls, one of you ladies in purple to sit here and tell me some facts about myself.
What
if
do you
it's
mean?
true, if it's real, do it.
You went to this medium.
Rather than
Yes,
shake
it was
your
Diane,
heads.
and you sat there with your jaw on the floor.
With the jaw on the floor
Was this
for an
after
hour.
the English whale smash?
Ooh. Ooh. No, it wasn't actually.
Why?
I wanted to disprove Heidi.
No, but why were you say, why was your jaw on the floor?
The things she was saying, the truth she was saying.
Such as?
Things about when I was a child, things about when my parents were young, things about my whole family. Only I would know that.
But hang on, she's already seen Heidi.
I booked under a different name. I didn't tell Heidi.
But Heidi, as described, talked to you about you to
His
Diane.
description could relate to...
Is there anything
thousands
you
of
could have
people.
said to
Never.
Diane on a previous occasion that she could have picked up who he was?
I'd never met
Because
Diane.
when I went
but
for
she's
my...
met Heidi.
Yeah, when I went for my reading with Diane, Diane gave a reading that belonged to my life and my past. My partner had only been in my life a short time, so when he went for his reading without telling me, booking under another name...
Sit there for me.
Yes, of course, Diane had heard me in my reading say, my partner, Chris. But you can't honestly say she's got that good a memory to be able to remember a year later this guy who books under a different
You'd be
name...
surprised they do it every day for hours and hours.
No, booked under a different name.
We're talking about this?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about whether or not it could be fake or not.
Heidi's partner.
Yeah, I've got a slightly different experience from the rest of the people here today because I don't use a medium for my own purposes. I use them to investigate crimes because I write true crime books. And I used a medium here today, which happens to be Diane, to investigate a totally unknown crime. I told her absolutely nothing about it. I didn't tell her where it was, when it was, no details at all. I took along a tape recorder for two reasons. One, I wanted an absolute record of what was said, and two, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't giving any subconscious hints to her. I met her in a car park. We went to the scene of the crime. She was about 99% accurate. She told me where the woman was, where she moved up the road, where she bumped her head, the bruises, how she was strangled, what she was wearing, where she was found.
I was going to ask you, Ian. Do they exploit the vulnerable, is what I was thinking, Ian, and he doesn't look very vulnerable to me.
No, I think they do, and I think for every so-called successful situation such as been described, there are many, many more that aren't. So occasionally they may, through whatever reasons you might care to put forward, get things right, but in the majority of cases they probably don't. And in my field, I'm a specialist in cultism, and I've found a significant number of people have visited some kind of an occultist, whether it be a clairvoyant, whether it be a medium or whoever, prior to going along to that first meeting with a group. They were met by group members on a street, they seemed like friendly people, and they've gone to check it out. I think of a guy, Martin, who did this. He was asked to give his ring to somebody in this so-called spiritualist church. And they said, yes, this is a marvellous movement, you should get involved. And he finished up in the Moonies, and that changed his whole life. He was in very, very serious trouble.
Well, yes.
And sometimes the advice given is not only unreliable, it can be very, very dangerous.
Well, absolutely, but what you're expecting everybody to believe is that in the world of mediums and mediumships, there are no bad apples. That's ludicrous. Of course there's going to be bad apples. You have bad doctors. We've got one inside now for committing 153 murders. You've got bad solicitors. They've been hung for committing murder.
If we accept,
you will get
then,
bad apples
if we
in every
accept
sphere.
that there are such things as good mediums, which I would question, how do you know who you're dealing with ahead of time? And the answer is you don't.
Joyce, you don't know who you're dealing with?
I did, because I went to a very reputable medium in Nottingham. And it was 20 years after my mother had committed suicide in 1965. And I've just walked into her. I'd never seen her before, never spoken to her before. I walked into the door and sat down. She spoke to me, and she said immediately, I'm getting somebody who died a very tragic death, and it's a lady, and she said, I think it's your mother. She said, did she commit suicide? I said, yes. She said, well, she's here to tell you that you are not to blame for what happened, because she'd lost her husband 2 years before, and she was very depressed. And I know we'd had an argument that morning, and I thought that I had caused her death. But after all that time, I was blaming myself. She came through and said, no, I was not to blame. Now, I believed her.
You were, I'm not talking about you being in a wheelchair, that's irrelevant to what I'm saying. No, but you were clearly in a very vulnerable position, right? Because you'd lost your mum and all the rest of it, but also there's an element of guilt. Not that you should have felt that, but you felt it there. So, couldn't somebody have exploited your emotions?
No. No. I mean,
you believed it was your mum?
Yes, it was my mother, because after, the second time I went to see her, I had a half transformation. And a transformation is my medium turning into the person who I loved and I was thinking of. And that was my mother.
How did they do that, Joyce?
I was very relaxed in the chair. She was relaxed. I kept staring at her, and all of a sudden there was this cloud. And under this cloud, I could see my mother coming through. On her face.
You could see her?
I could see my mother. Now, this is not a... it's true.
He's recognisable.
Absolutely true. Yes, definitely.
Angela,
and that was the that was when she died.
Are you exploiting vulnerable people?
No, definitely not. I've actually had people come to me. Now, I don't ring them up. I don't say, look, come and see me, because I'm the best here. They come along. They come along whether they're upset, if they've lost loved ones. I've got a lady that came to me and she said, if, you know, when I told her husband was there, she said, if I didn't feel he was around me, she said, I wouldn't want to be here. Okay, and all I'm doing is telling her that the love is there. I've given her memories of her husband. I've told her how she looked after him, even down to the colour socks that she used to have to put on him, and the fact that they were cotton. Can
I just say, I'm a clairvoyant and a healer, and in fact, I've healed the researcher on this programme. But
Which one?
Ben.
Ben? Ben?
Yeah, gave me.
Oh, well, you mean he's going to do a day's work for a change, is he?
Just to say quickly.
Hang on, what are you doing with Ben? I want to know about Ben. What have you done to Ben?
If you want absolute evidence, I'm a precognitive psychic artist, amongst other things, which means that days before, I do drawings of people that I don't know at all, and I write all sorts of evidence, names, places.
Let's have
and
the
here
one.
are two of them. I didn't know this.
Let's have the first one, eh? Who's this?
Now, this lady...
Where's the drawing?
That is the lady. This is the drawing I did. Can you see there? And written on it, if you look, she's 5 stone heavier, that's it. And, yeah, and there's all the names, places, details on that drawing.
So you drew that picture of that woman before you'd seen her?
About 2 days before.
And it's a relative of somebody else?
Yeah, and the woman in the audience, because I work into it, said, that's my mother. And all the... I got milkman, postman,
and you've done another one. Let's have a look at the other one.
The other one is... Here we are. Where is she?
Where is it? There
she is.
That's the woman.
That is the woman who died in the 60s. I was working in Italy, and this man came to me for a reading,
see the drawing.
and I'd done the drawing earlier on. There is the drawing with all the evidence that applies. Can you see that?
So the point is about both those two is that people came to you, you did drawings of their relatives, and those are the pictures, and the pictures do bear a lot of similarity to the drawing.
If you look at that second one again, please, before I'd ever met the person...
What do you mean look at the second one again?
That's one there, and there's the drawing of her. Can you see the drawing, please? There. Can you see that? And all the words round it.
Joyce.
And names and details.
Well, I don't know whether they look. I mean, they're very similar to me. Joyce. The important thing about this, please, my friend, please. The important thing about all this, Joyce, is you're sensible and kind of reasonable and intelligent. Does it make you feel better?
Well, I mean, not now because I'm like this.
But I mean,
at the time, it was as though a cloud had lifted off my.
Oh well, that's all we need then, isn't it? If that's what it does. Don't ask me. I have done hundreds of these programmes, and I'm the sceptic par excellence, aren't I? That's just my nature. It's also part of my job. I don't know whether they can talk to the dead or not. I'd love to be able to talk to the dead. I'd love to be able to talk to the people I love. We all would, wouldn't we? Perhaps they can. Perhaps they're right. What matters is, do they do any harm? And so long as they don't do any harm and they don't exploit the vulnerable and the people who use them get some benefit out of it, that is what matters. And that's all that matters. Take care of yourselves.